over 10 miles of trails, Pigeon Creek Park is a popular destination for outdoor enthusiasts. The extensive network of trails are designated for mountain biking, horseback riding, and hiking, and in the winter for cross-country skiing. Just by itself, Pigeon Creek Park covers 282 acres, but there is also another 130 acres of county open space land adjacent to it. I've been through this park twice on cross-country skis. I've never hiked it before, so let's go take a look. I like the juxtaposition of this little sapling amongst its towering neighbors. So to tell the story, I want to do a landscape or wide shot and include all these massive trunks surrounding this little sapling. And I'm going to put the sapling to the left side of my frame, so then it'll be balanced on the right side by multiple trunks, as you can see. So it just tells a story of how this tree is growing amidst its neighbors and surviving. Right below these trees are these fallen limbs that are crisscrossed, and I always like crisscrossing lines because it adds some interest. But again, the light is hitting it just so, and you can see how the wood is breaking down. It's the undergrowth around it. So it just tells a story about decay and new life all in the same frame. It's great to see fern grow and thrive in a location like this. And much like flowers, I like to choose just a single one or just a part of one that's different than the rest. Maybe it's highlighted, maybe it's all by itself, but just to give some detail of what it looks like. So I have what I like to call the 3 C's of photography. First C is content, what's in the shot. So like a landscape, person, or building, what's the story that you're telling? The second C is composition. So balance, rule of thirds, fill the frame, leading lines, all of those components come into play here. The goal is to have the viewer of your image want to return to it again and again, seeing something different every time that they look at it. And the third C is clarity. And you would think that I mean image clarity, but that's only part of it, if that's what you're going for. Instead, what I mean by it is it clear what you're trying to convey? So let's put those 3 C's into practice. So I've come upon a view of the creek, and I want to capture it because I think it's a nice, peaceful setting. So how do I go about doing that? So the content of my shot is going to be this landscape in front of me with the tree to the left, curving overhead, creating a natural arch, and then the creek is primarily in the right side, but going through the shot as well. So in terms of composition, I've got some leading lines. I've got the tree leaning in, so I'm drawing the viewer in by looking at the tree trunk. But then I've also got the line of the creek going across my image. So there's trees in the background. It gives dimension to my shot. Now in terms of clarity, by balancing the image, using rule of thirds, and the soft morning light should make it clear in my image the feeling that I'm trying to convey. So here's an example of how I use the 3 C's in other images that I've shot. The first shot is from Waikiki Natural Area in Lowell, and this image I wanted to convey how fragile the natural area is and how resilient it is as well. So what I did here was I got lower to the ground and made sure I got some pine cones in the foreground to show promise of future trees, future growth, and then the rest of the image goes down the pathway. So leading lines came into play. You can see the pathway. Your eye moves further into the shot, but it's also trees drawing you in the background, creating dimension to it. Another example is the solitary tree at Saugatuck Dunes State Park. So the composition featured just a lone tree with dune grass in front of it, and then the sky and cloud formation behind it. So very few elements in the shot. Because of that, they stand out more too. And there's also a balance between the clouds above and the grasses below. And I composed the shot so that the tree stood out against the sky. So as a viewer, you're looking at this tree and you see it all by itself. You see how fragile it is, how isolated it is, but there's also a sense of peacefulness about it as well, because the cloud formation surrounds the tree, and then you have that balance between the sky and the ground. On previous videos, I've talked about leading lines and repeating patterns being good subject matter for black and white photography. And here you have repetition. You have multiple trees growing together, as you can see in the foreground to the right, and then it repeats further down the pathway. There's another grouping of trees. So for me, that's a repeating pattern, and that they grow alongside this curving path just adds to the appeal. So the path acts as a leading line, drawing the viewer further into the composition. The repeating pattern of the trees also draws the viewer into the shot. Today's tom tree is this one, which is this mighty tree right next to a pathway. Half of it doesn't seem to be doing so well, and the upper branches seem to be doing okay. What I like about it is it's all by itself and it's just massive. So to show some of that story, I'm going to include some of these saplings next to it and as part of it. This is one of those sculptural organic forms that I like to capture when I'm out walking in nature parks. It's just something that you don't see very often, and who knows how it was formed. Looks like part of it fell off, other parts of it just died from natural causes. Who knows what happened, but the weathering on the limbs, and you can see the twisty, curvy lines in those trunks and on those limbs, and how the light is hitting it. So to me, it's just a unique formation, and shooting it in infrared and black and white is going to really show that off, because you've got repeating patterns, you've got leading lines, and I'm balancing it by having these two trunks on either side acting as bookends for it. And then again, that soft morning light just coming in and touching it a little bit, adding to its story. Now, speaking of leading lines, when you see tall trees like this, you immediately look up. And that's how leading lines work. Your eyes follow them wherever they go. Now I see this scene in front of me and I think it's stunning. I like the repetition of tree trunks, multiple leading lines, drawing your eyes up. It works out well that there's no clouds in the sky because the sky is going to create a dramatic black background for the trees. But what I don't like are the light posts. Now they're a great addition to a trail, especially if you want to go hiking at night. But for my composition, it takes me out of the natural setting. So I'm going to want to crop those out. Although I can do it later and edit those out, I can also work on that now in the shot. So the lamppost further down the path, all I have to do is lean over a little bit more and I block it with the tree trunk. And this one on my left, all I have to do is frame it out like this. So by moving to the right a little bit, I've also moved the pathway to the left so it's not dead center. So all of these elements come together when you're composing your image and help to tell the story that you want to convey. Pigeon Creek Park is just one of many parks in Ottawa County. For more information, check out miottawa.org. Thanks for exploring with me. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you liked it and learned something new. If you did, consider subscribing to my channel and getting notified when a new video posts. And I hope to see you out on the trails.